Well, hello, Kent Adams here with the Pulse of Spokane. I hope things are going well for you, and I hope you're getting ready to warm up because I don't care which newscaster you listen to, they've all got this thing about it's going to be cold. And for once, I'm believing them because it's already cold and getting there. Although the sun is out today, but who knows? And they're even talking about a little bit of white stuff coming down in on Friday maybe or Saturday. So let's see what happens. I'm pleased to catch up today on what's going on in land sales and commercial and industrial sales and leasing and all that with my friends from Kimley Haygood right after this.
The economy is getting stronger. Banks are lending again, and interest rates are at historic lows. Now is a great time to buy your dream home. The caring and knowledgeable professionals at Homes for You have been helping people just like you for over 20 years. They take the time to listen to what you want and will help you find just the right home in Washington or Idaho. Real estate is what we do at Homes for You, 928-5782, or visit online at homes4uspokane.com.
This is River Ridge Frame Shop, called Frame It Today, where we can take your art, customize it, and get it ready to hang on the wall. Here at River Ridge Hardware, 2803 West Garland.
Weather in the inland northwest can wear you down. And if your gutters are in poor condition or you do not have gutters, you could suffer damage that could cost a fortune to fix. Rainman Seamless Rain Gutters has almost 30 years of professional experience in serving the inland northwest region and strives to ensure customer service that is second to none from the time you call to the end of the project.
Well, welcome back. Every so often, I like to catch up on what's going on in the real estate market. We know in housing, it's going like crazy right now. They can't build them fast enough. They can't sell them fast enough. I mean, it's nuts out there. But we've all been watching what's going on to medium-sized and small businesses around this community. So I try to bring in Gordon Hester from Kimley Haygood, and but I wanted some really good input today. So Casey Brazil, I get that right?
Yep.
All right, is here. And those two sitting across from me, everything that goes on there, you guys oversee. You're the bosses. You're the owners of this company that's had a great reputation since I remember coming to Spokane 40-some years ago. So congratulations. And you guys get along okay, right?
We do.
We get along great.
Yeah. Great.
I'm very fortunate.
Now that's not what you said in your email. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Let's have some fun. But let's also talk about where are things right now, okay? We've got several markets. You guys are in the Tri-Cities, you're in North Idaho, you're here in Spokane, and so forth. Really kind of Eastern Washington, Northern Idaho a lot. And I understand that things are going quite well in North Idaho. Why is it different there? Other than, as someone told me the other day, yes, Kent, come on over for lunch. We're America over here. We have freedom. But I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah. We've seen there's a different political landscape in Idaho compared to the state of Washington. That's driven some people just to make the decision to be across the border for different reasons. That's only part of the reason, though. There's a lot of out-of-state capital that's looked at North Idaho. We've got a great employment base. Land it's been cheaper when you compare it to Western Washington, Southern California,
right?
And that's where we've seen a lot of companies that have come to our area and purchased land. Instead of making the decision to be, say, in Spokane Valley, you can go just 10 miles further and be over in Idaho.
Yeah.
So.
And in home sales and so forth, it's growing over there as well. It's really a vibrant community.
Right.
And not bad to have a lake at your front door too.
Correct.
I mean,
yeah, it's beautiful.
It is.
I've actually worked in the North Idaho area since 2008, and it's always been a feeling of when you do get over there, you're working, but you kind of feel like you're on vacation.
Yeah.
Great place.
Do you think all your agents think the same thing too?
Most of them do.
Yeah.
Most of them do.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Good,
So, yeah.
good. Gordon, here you and I have talked about the small businesses here in town, especially the restaurant industries. In fact,
Yeah.
you've pointed out and even mentioned some that had leased buildings from you guys and that were having to close their doors or that close to closing the doors. And this thing that was going to go out for, I think we were going to be hibernating for 2 weeks is now
A year.
coming up, starting the second
Yep.
year, and so forth. And I've told the story before on the air, and you that our focus is a lot on small business, and it's very hard to talk to some of these folks because they literally well up in their eyes, and it's almost always, Kent, I'm not worried about myself. I may end up in bankruptcy. This business may close down. I'm worried about the wonderful staff that's been part of our family. I know their kids' birthdays. I know their spouses and all of that. How are things going?
You know, the longer it goes on, the more difficult it is, especially in the retail and restaurant sectors. And, the poor restaurant owners, a lot of these are, they're family owned, the kids work there, and it's just really tough. And the takeout opportunities have allowed people to keep some of their doors open but you don't make money at 25% occupancy.
No, you only lose maybe a little less than you were otherwise going
Right.
to. And most restaurant owners have told me that, I can't do this forever.
Right.
I remember we had Mark Starr from David's Pizza in now a couple of months ago, and it was at the time it was before they closed down again. But I said, "What's it like for customers to come in and the apprehension?" He said, we've never been cleaner. Okay, we've got pretty much our regular staff, but only half the tables. Do you know what they're doing between customers? They're cleaning the table that isn't being used today,
Right.
the third time this
Right.
morning.
Well, and the challenge is you're not seeing the transmission of COVID happening in restaurants.
No.
It's happening in private gatherings and those things. So
Yes.
the poor business owners, not only are they not open, they're not allowed to make income and support their employees. There's no end in sight. And that's even more of a challenge is how do you plan for something or plan for reopening when there's really no idea when it may
Do you think
happen.
our community will reach a point where it just says, to heck with you, Governor, and we're just going to open up? You can't put us all out of business. We're going to bring people in. We'll do it safely. I've heard a little of the rumblings out there.
You see it in real selective pockets.
Yeah.
There's a couple businesses in Spokane that are doing that now.
Okay, yes.
With the vaccinations increasing, we're hoping that a lot of this will take care of itself by the disease being managed better.
I had an expert on from EWU a few weeks back, and he literally was leaving our studio to go get his vaccine. I was scheduled for the following week and so forth. And I said, I raised the question with all of that, how's that going to help? Well, it will help and so forth. Will we be back to a little more normal where we can feel a little freer by summer? I just picked what people are saying these days.
Right.
And he said, no, I think by the middle of March or 1st of April, we'll start to see it turn. There'll be enough people who have had COVID like you, and others that have gotten the vaccine. I've got my first one. In 2 weeks, I'm up for my second one. I'm not looking forward to that, but I think as we get vaccinated, my wife did, my son did, and so forth, I think that will help. And I've learned a lot of facts from him, like 56% of getting the first shot 10 days later, you're 56% preventative of getting it. And 10 days after the second shot, it's 95%. That's pretty darn good numbers.
that's
If we
great.
get a number of people vaccinated and some who have had it, because you're protected at least for a while now and so forth, that will really help. But seeing these big stores open and the mom and pop stores struggle, That bothers me.
Yeah.
It just bothers me on a very core level.
Yep.
Yeah. The regulations that the state has put on small businesses.
Yes.
It's allowed the large ones to be open. And they have the funds to make a quick switch from operating as normal to go online.
Yes.
And really run their business that way.
Yeah.
And so it's not an easy situation.
It's not a level playing field.
No. And for the restaurants, a lot of them had made that adjustment through summer and fall. And then in November, to push us back to only takeout, there's a lot of businesses that just can't do that.
Yeah.
And if it's only takeout, what's really the benefit of PPP money for some of the restaurants?
Yeah.
So
I'm going to get back to North Idaho because you're thriving over there.
Yeah.
Good things. In what areas? Land sales? Why the land sales?
Yeah, land sales, typically in the North Idaho market, if you compare it to Spokane, we don't have a ton of buildings available. It's the market's not as deep. So when we do get a little bit of traction, the vacancy we do have, it gets eaten up right away.
Okay.
So now you have businesses that are saying, oh, we've got to build new because the product that we need, it's just not available. And we've seen increases of mostly industrial land and multifamily land. And we've seen those prices come close to almost doubling over the last 24 to 36 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with land sales, that took off. And then on top of it, you only have so much land that has services available.
Yes.
Otherwise you've got to start the process to work with local jurisdictions to find out, where's sewer, where's the water, and where's the power, and how can we get into our site. So we've seen increases with that. Retail is as much as it's been, difficult. We have been able to, where I had 2 restaurants that came available in the Coeur d'Alene market last spring. We had them leased within 30 days.
Oh, wow.
And there's been people that they're willing to take the risk. They're willing to jump into it. So retail's still been a little bit slow, but the land sales and investment property has been very strong.
How much, I know what it is in Spokane because I live here and everything else, but how much of an attraction is it to a business or industrial, commercial to develop over there because of recruiting employees? Is it still? I'm going to take a wild guess that it's probably important because of the land availability and the natural resources that are. I mean, Sandpoint's half hour, 45 minutes away, and the lake isn't a bad place to be, and so forth.
Yeah, we've seen some businesses that maybe they're moving up from Southern California.
Yeah.
They offer their employees, you will have a job. We're going to move up to Coeur d'Alene, and you will have a job if you move up there too. And people can't wait to jump on that offer. So
when we looked to move up here, Seattle was out of the question because my mother-in-law lived over there. Not because she was there, but we had visited several times. And I swear, every time we went there, it rained. Okay. Once we moved to Spokane, when we went to visit family over there, it didn't rain. But coming up, so that was off the table. And our neighbors down there, believe it or not, told us about this place because they had a summer home in Coeur d'Alene. Yeah. I'd never heard of Coeur d'Alene. Heard of Spokane because this was 2 years after the World's Fair. Okay, Coeur d'Alene. How do you even spell it? And they had to stop and think about that for a second. But yeah, what a great spot.
Right. It's gotten a little bit scary for us in Coeur d'Alene now. If so many people have found it.
Yes.
And the real thing is the Kardashians found it. Justin Bieber was sighted in Coeur d'Alene this summer, and we're too well known at this point. So yeah.
Yeah. Even what's his name, Cameron.
Right.
From
Growing Pains, right?
Growing Pains. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well. When you build a top resort and you're right on the lake, and you can walk in a downtown that looks old, but it's got the new there and choices of restaurants, and you can be in the forest in 10 minutes, not a bad place to be.
No.
And if you're owning a business and bringing up employees, absolutely.
Yeah, we're very fortunate, and it's so many people have moved to Coeur d'Alene, but we've also seen that here locally of just how many people have been able to work remotely for their job in Seattle and have purchased that house here.
Yeah. Are you seeing the same thing what were the numbers? 1,500% a couple of months ago after all the riots and everything in Seattle for homes being sold, interest in buying homes in Spokane. Have you seen that kind of interest in North Idaho, Coeur d'Alene area?
Yeah, there was a tremendous amount of interest. I don't have any specific numbers with it, but yeah, we
Because you're
did
dealing
see,
more with commercial and land.
I would say though, starting in late June, early July, it's the phones. Every day it was another phone call from someone in California. So yeah, we did see a lot of that.
And my wife and I often talk about the choice we made 44 years ago to leave Southern California and to come up here. And we have not regretted it one day. There was a time back, all my kids are adults. My youngest is 40. My oldest is 51 next month. And a couple of them were saying, well, if we really want good jobs and all that, I think we're going to have to go in those days to Portland or Seattle and so forth. Well, they're all working here now, except one, but I mean, because we've grown up. I've told the story many times that my wife and I, when we first came to town, would go out and have brunch on Saturday. That would be our day for a couple hours away, and we had Perkins, and I don't remember a couple restaurants like that to go to, choices. Now, if we wanted, and I don't want to, we could have sushi. But I mean, we have choices, which was what bothers me with the small mom and pop operation, because often those are ethnic foods and there's specialties and so forth. Where do you see us going, Gordon, with that here in Spokane?
Every day where you can't be open and generate income is another day closer to being closed. And so I think as landlords, I mean, Casey and I work with a lot of building owners. It's how do we help these people? How do we restructure leases and try to give them the opportunity to be successful once the economy opens back up? And I think being in the commercial real estate business, we're eternal optimists. So you've kind of have to have that vision that we're going to get through this and we're going to find a way, and it's going to be sooner than later. And
I never really thought about all of that, but you're working with those that are leasing from you and from your owners and so forth. You almost have to, don't you?
Yeah.
To understand what's going on and maybe forgiving some stuff for a while. We'll catch up later and
we're doing a lot of lease restructuring, just trying to give people periods where the rent's free or low and get them through this period so that we, I think at least we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel now. And
heck, sometimes just seeing the tunnel is a good thing, right?
So I mean, I think the worst is over and we're going to get through it. And
I hope so. And
we're seeing the same thing in the other markets we work in Moscow and Lewiston and Kennewick and Tri-Cities and
those
Walla
communities
Walla, and they're all having
they're all looking positive.
That same opportunity where the industrial market's good. We're still seeing businesses other than restaurants do okay, and
and we don't talk about the industrial market, but that's still doing quite well, and new things coming to town, right?
Very well.
So.
Yeah, the industrial market has really just been the strong point.
Why is that?
A number of reasons. You don't have a ton of employees in these locations. They didn't have to shut down. It's distribution. Companies that, maybe it's the construction industry, they're still able to operate. But we've seen more companies that have needed more warehouse space than they have. For instance, as you've seen retailers shut down, we don't have the JCPenney's anymore.
Right.
Mervyn's left a long time ago. Macy's is now closing more locations. So we're seeing more of the online business, which is then it's pushing a lot more industrial space needed. So
are we gearing up for the small businesses to help them with the online sales and so forth, because they're not as poised? They don't have the New York staff of 30 or 50 people to put the packages together and so forth. Are we finding help for them?
There will be a transformation in how people buy retail goods, and I think COVID probably was the gasoline that sped that process up.
I think you're right.
So I don't know that it didn't cause it, but it's certainly speeding it up. And for the smaller retailers, you really have to have that niche that you have either a product that's so unique or so that people want to touch and see and feel, or you're going to have to figure out how to do it online.
Yeah. It's kind of a whole new world, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. It's but companies like yours are there to help hold hands and nurture these businesses to stay in business and to come back stronger than ever.
Right.
Which is so important to all of us. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, there's always solutions that are
Yeah.
available. It's just we do come across the tenets that it's been a year.
Yeah.
And at some point, some of them are ready to give up too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I don't want to see any more go away.
Right.
I really don't.
No, we hope not.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
that's why we've tried to focus on some small businesses and so forth to get customers there. And as much as I liked Chick-fil-A coming to town, and I know there are those who are dedicated to it and so forth, especially those who've traveled around the country. I was amazed at the number of negative comments on social media. Why are we doing that? Even though I think it may be owned by the franchise, owned by
Right.
somebody local. But why, when mom and pop over here who've been struggling, and to me I get that, it was a strong statement that we care about ours here in Spokane.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And
You
so
know, you have to admire the marketing of Chick-fil-A if they can create something that's going to get people to wait in line 4 hours for a sandwich. I mean, that's brilliant. And it's
I'm sorry, by then I'm on to my next
and
meal.
it says it says
Exactly.
a lot for what they're doing. But
Yeah.
on the other hand, you did see a real strong push to support local business.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that's just part of the unique thing of
Yeah.
being in Spokane or Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah. And I've often said in this town, and if you compared it to an LA, Seattle, or other cities, I can get to anybody through one person.
Generally,
Generally, if you don't know them, you will.
the social connectivity is incredible here.
And competitors, I know this for a fact in the food industry, the meals and restaurant industry, I've heard countless stories on this set from, yes, I got help from so-and-so. You're a competitor? Yes. They came and told me what they did, some of the things that they wouldn't do over again,
Yeah.
but they sat down with me and answered any questions, would take my phone call. Because the more we have, the more choices we have. It's
Right.
for all of us,
Yep.
for customers and so forth. I don't know. I've heard stories in big cities. Yes, I've talked with the people down the street, but beyond my block, I don't know
Right.
anyone. No, we're not like that here. We're a metropolitan area, but we're still a town.
Well, and it's part of what makes our business so fun is it's a very relationship-driven business. So it's really hard to come in and compete with people that have a great relationship with their customers
Right.
because you can't just offer a service without having that relationship. And
Yeah.
that's something that Casey and I work really hard to continue to support and our employees. And
Well, you've got a good group of people there. I've used some over the past to
Yeah.
look for places and so forth. And so you've got a good team. You care about our community. Thank you for both of you for extending beyond Spokane, Washington, and so forth. If I left anything out, anything you want to throw in?
no, thank you for the
Yeah.
time. It's always
Oh,
fun to catch up. And
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. From now on, you can just send Casey.
well, he's better than I am anyway. So
Well,
that's we send the smart part of the team.
I love it. Well, nice to meet you, Casey.
Pleasure to meet you. Thank you.
Gordon, good to have you as always.
Thank you.
Okay.
All
And
right.
thanks for watching The Pulse of Spokane, everybody. Have a good day.
Thanks for watching this episode of The Pulse. We are where you are. Check us out on any of these other platforms as well as our website. This show is sponsored by Local 29 Firefighters Union, Homes for You, and Apex Cannabis.